Okay, so I've finished priming all the parts gloss black, and I didn't show this on camera because it would be a waste of time, but I did use aqua gloss clear, and I was able to coat on all the parts using this until I get a nice reflective coat on it. And of course it's designed to protect the gloss black. At one stage, of course, this gloss began to clog up my airbrush, so I had to stop and clean up the airbrush and redo it again. And I guess I'm contributing to the fact of this, maybe because it dries too quickly. So, and it does tell you to use 15 to 20 psi's. So, and it says do not apply heavy coats to avoid sagging, which I try to do. I believe there is one part that I may have to revisit, maybe have to resand, and then re-wipe with something and redo it again. But I'll get to that when the time comes. But now the time has come to apply chrome, and we're going to start with this guy right here, which of course it has a little bit of a notch there, which is driving me nuts. I don't want to scratch it off, so you know what, I'm just going to deal with it. The compressor has been set to 12 psi's, close to 10, and let's zoom a bit right there so you guys can see this. And I'm just going to do light passes. Just light passes. Let me show this thing came out pretty good. Alright. It's a little flaky there. It's not supposed to do that. I don't like that. Alright, I kind of cleaned it up a bit. So let's hope this works again. Hold on, let me just adjust the camera again. Alright, so I just applied a little, so I'm going to leave it the way it is for now. And the reasons why is because I'm gonna get to it in a minute. Here's one of the blue parts that I did paint black, gloss black. There we go. This thing's coming out now better. Now, I'm just applying a little, not too much, not oversaturating it, because I want to get back to it in a minute. But I'll get back to, well, let me just do these three first. Here's the one of the thigh armors. Okay. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. So, going back to the part that I just finished right now, and using a microfiber cloth, I'm going to begin wiping a bit, just to clean it up and polish it off a bit. Considering how this came out, I may have to give it a little bit more pass, but I will do a second pass right now. Didn't like how it came out. I mean, it is glossy, it is nice, but how it came out in the first try didn't come out right. I may have to redo this again, maybe for this part. I'm not 100% sure yet. I mean, look at that. And so you could see how it came out on the first try. Look, this came out great. This came out terrible. I guess I may have to. Let me see if I can do an oversaturation. Maybe that'll balance it out a bit. Man, why is it doing this? Let me give me a few moments. So I ran into some very, very, very annoying trouble. Trouble that I thought I was in control. And surely, clearly, obviously, I was not. And I thought I had everything planned out the way I thought it was going to be. I thought, oh, okay, this is how it works and whatever. Some parts of this video I did not show and I didn't record, but something was happening where when I was attempting to paint the chrome, it was spitting out the pigments and not spraying out the pigments in a steady stream. I'm saying to myself, what am I doing wrong? At first I thought something must have happened with my new airbrush. So I put away, I mean, I emptied out the reservoir, cleaned it out, washed it, whatever, sprayed it a couple of times so it flowed up properly, and then I do it again, and I still had the same problem, and I said, what the fuck is going on here? Because I did some test runs before I began filming, and it came out fine. So what was different? Needless to say, it was basically my fault, because as I was doing this, I was actually repainting some black, and I adjusted the pressure on my compressor. When I re-clocked it back down to 15, I went a little too low, and it was trying to spit out the chrome with barely no pressure at all, and that was my fault, and I ruined a few parts. Well, mainly this guy right here, which I had to re-sand down again and repaint the black. And the reasons why is because even though it had chrome on this, when I said, let me respray black again. But then what I did was I applied a little bit of thinner to this because it came out well when it does that. Didn't realize that the thinner does not react well with the chrome. Doesn't seem to have a problem with this guy, considering it is not considered the primary color. It's a primer. But when you apply this to chrome, if you spray paint the thinner on top of chrome, it crusted up the parts. And as a matter of fact, I have an example here. This could be a good example. I don't know if you could see that. See that? I respray painted that because and look at that. So now I have to sand it down and respray paint black again so I can have that reflectiveness. I wanted to show you this first. Once I figured out the issue with the chrome and with my airbrush and my stupidity, I began to respray paint the chrome again onto the parts that did come out right. And here are all the ending results right there. See? Wow. Came out amazing. Pretty amazing. Let me just wipe this off a bit. Came out very shiny. Now, I'm going to separate the ones that I know came out great, because there are those that needs to be painted in the colors that we were talking about before. I also plan to do something that I decided not to do, which is basically apply the dark aluminum. I think it looks great like that. So for me to do a two-tone color, and then I don't want to ruin it to where it came out nice. But I don't want to ruin it, so I'm not going to apply the two-tone color on these. Obviously, this one right here will be masked off because there's this strip here that needs to be painted. Need to be painted the blue. So that came out nice. But for the other blues, and we have this guy right here, which unfortunately, even though it came out nice, it still shows off that seam line. So much work I put into that. It was exhausting, and still shows the seam line off. Well, what are you gonna do? This is clearly this guy's not gonna win any awards, but it's for fun, whatever. So these guys need to be removed. This one needs to be re-chromed up again. This guy here, this guy here. Yeah, everything came out pretty well. Just stupid hiccup that I just had right now. Unbelievable. But you live, you learn. Hopefully you don't repeat the same process again. The smaller parts came out okay. That came out nice. This needs to be painted up red and red. And this is all the dark blue, and this is the other color. So that one I have to the side. But needless to say, a majority of the chroming has been done. So I'm gonna take all these parts and put them away so that way they doesn't bother me. Then I'm gonna move on to the next set of colors and see how it comes out.